Well, hello, everybody. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I just want to come on here and talk about the market absorption rate for real estate. And it's a crucial conversation to have. We want to get our pricing strategies to prevent our pain later. We want to be upfront about everything. We don't want any pain. Nobody wants to feel pain. We definitely don't want to be pain when we're selling something that is probably the biggest transaction of our lifetime. So we want to make sure we get things right. And I'm just gonna kind of go over what a market absorption report is, how it can be used, and what the benefits are. And my thanks goes out to Mr. Josh Davis for creating this slideshow for me. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the your agent. Your agent. We get a lot of complaints from sellers about their real estate agents. I see it all the time when I talk to an expired or essentially canceled listing. So, and one of these are the three of the most common things that we hear. Misrepresentation or false promises. Sellers do often report instances where agents provide inaccurate information. They make promises that aren't fulfilled. This includes overstating a property's value to secure a listing or misrepresenting the market conditions. Such actions can lead to unrealistic expectations and prolonged time on the market. In other words, we need to price it right. We need to be straight up front with the seller. We don't need to be telling them, and just giving them a price that's overpriced for their property that's going to get the listing. At the same time, sellers often, think their home is the golden calf. You can't, it just doesn't work that way. Then we have to be upfront, honest with them, and tell them that, hey, this is what the market's going to pay. It's not going to be. Sometimes it won't be pretty. Tell them that, and they may choose not to sell, and that's okay. I do take on the attitude that I'm going to turn away more listings than I'm actually going to take because it's just not a good fit. I want to be straight up and honest about the price of the property. It saves us a lot of pain later on. Then there's a lack of communication. In a real estate deal, effective communication is crucial really in real estate transactions. Sellers frequently complain about agents who fail to provide timely updates, feedback from showings, responses, or inquiries from potential buyers. And the lack of communication can cause frustration and erode trust between the seller and the agent. That's why I offer a communication guarantee. It's a weekly communication with any of my sellers. That if I don't call you on that day to tell you some kind of communication about your property, what the feedback is, what the showings are looking like, what kind of responses we're getting from the potential buyers, you can fire me on the spot. I guarantee I will reach out to you through a text or an email or phone. Usually through text or phone is my preferred methods. Unless you just like email, I'm going to reach you every week to let you know what's going on with your property. And then there's negligence or incompetence. Some sellers encounter agents who demonstrate a lack of professionalism or knowledge. Complaints in this category include failure to market the property effectively, which we will talk more in detail as we go forward. Errors in the paperwork or inadequate negotiation skills. I feel that this is one of my great skills is I'm a negotiator. You got to be a negotiator. I'm not going to just sit there and just take what the buyer's agent says. Or if I'm on the buy side, I'm not going to take what the seller agent says. We got to negotiate. We want to, you got to be able to negotiate the price. And again, such negligence can negatively impact the sale process of the final outcome. So let's talk about what I alluded to, the absorption report. What is an absorption report? It's a market analysis. Okay. It analyzes the pace of home sales in a specific market. This helps to understand the demand. And we want to know because real estate is such a location specific industry. It's all going to be about the location. Where is the house at? What are the home sales around that specific area where the house is? And so that key metric will include active, sold, and months of inventories. These provide crucial insight. Obviously, your actives, that's your competition. Your solds are those properties that have actually sold. So we're going to base it on those two factors as far as what the metrics of the selling of the houses in that area, specific to that area, are. And we're going to provide the insights. We provide insights for buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals, and we're all going to benefit from the data. It is very data driven. It's, we're not appraisers. Obviously, appraiser is, licensed to be an appraiser, but we are trained to know that if we get the right data, and I'll talk more about the three P's, which is, the reasons why or why not the property does or does not sell going forward. And that's price, promotion, and product. Product being the home itself. So we'll all benefit from having those three data points in alignment. And market overview. Location, location, location. Okay, so North Dallas is one market. North Arlington, North Fort Worth, Plano, Frisco, all different cities or areas. And even in specific towns like Frisco or Plano, there are different little blocks of the areas that will determine the price of a property. May not even, it may be just a half a mile radius or half a mile little section. It could be sections, it may not be a circle. It may just be from one side of an area or another, like for instance, a main street. On one side of this main street, a little blocked off area will be pricing different than, the other side of that main street in another little blocked off area. Those prices could be vastly different. So, and we got to match the property type, So what type of the property is it? A 3 bedroom, 4 bath, 5 bedroom, 4 bath, what's the amenities? Has a pool, doesn't have a pool. There's a lot of different factors that go into, so you got to make sure you're getting kind of the best potential property matches for the property you're selling. And time frame. Let's face the facts. Time frame on average is 3 to 4 months. If it's unrealistic to think that your house is going to sell in a month. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, maybe it's 4 months, maybe it's 6 months. It just depends on the market at the time. Well, we're going to get into that a little more here as well. Okay, so let's look at what data is used. So how do we collect this data? The way we collect the data is we look again at the active listings, active properties, active, and that includes active options, contingent, and pending properties. So active properties, that's the ones on the market that are not sold. They are active on the market. People are looking at them. Active option means somebody is actually in the option period, got a buyer that's attached to the property and they're in the active option or contingent period. And then there's pending. That means, they've gone through the option period and now it's actually pending the finalization of the sale. It might be going to the inspection and then potentially to the appraisal if it's a property that's being financed. So those are kind of the ways the active play out. You usually look more at the active properties because that's your competition. That's what's going to be localized specific right there in that little square block area, probably less than five, five, 5/10 of a mile or 1 mile area of the properties that are active, and that's going to be your competition. You want to align with your competition because other buyers are looking at at those active properties. And if your property is overpriced, then for the other active properties, say there's 2 or 3 other active properties that are priced lower, look better than your property, it's going to have a hard time selling the property. I'm not saying that there won't be somebody to come in there and buy it. If it just happens to match everything that they love about your property, they may overpay for it, but that's not the norm. And especially in not today's market where it is a buyer's market. If the buyer doesn't like the paint, they'll move on to another one. It's just the reality of where we're at. And then you also look at the sold properties. The sold properties are what's sold during that 3 to 6 month time frame, that's just passed. So the past 3 to 6 months, we're going to look at those properties, look at the prices they sold and get an evaluation, of what those properties sold for. And that's kind of going to give us an idea of what your property should be priced at. And we're also looking at other properties like expires, withdrawal, holds, and cancels. Those are homes that did not sell. And I specialize in selling other homes. I specialize in selling homes that other people didn't sell. So it's a really good market. We're also going to look at those and look at those properties to see why didn't they sell? What was the issue with them? What was happening that caused them not to sell? And again, we're going to analyze the time period. What is it like? What kind of a market we're in right now in DFW? 4.5 or 5 months of time is what we're looking at. So it's basically a buyer's market, as I said earlier. Now, absorption rate and months of inventory. So number one, the absorption rate. The absorption rate is sold listings, the time period in months. And that example would be 60 homes in 6 months or 10 per month. So that would be 10 houses are being sold a month. And that's 60 homes in 6 months. So that's the rate of absorption. And again, it breaks down to number two, which is months of inventory. Active listings, absorption rate. Example, 40 active listings, rate 10 equals 4 months. And then 6 month period examples is number three, 60 homes sold, 10 per month, 40 active listings, and 4 months of inventory. So it kind of shows you how the absorption rate is depending on the months of inventory and how long each of these sets are selling for. Obviously, if you've got you know uh houses, 60 homes sold, 10 per month, 40 active listings, you've got 4 months of inventory. That's this number three is basically where the DFW area is right now. And then we're going to look at the market and how to determine what type of market it is. So if it's a balanced market, as I alluded to before, 3 to 4 months is all the inventory you're going to have. A house is going to sell within 3 to 4 months, and you're in a balanced market. A buyer's market, again, this is what most of the Dallas-Fort Worth area is in. It means you've got 4 to 5 months of of inventory, which does favor the buyers. Or you're in a seller's market, and that means you've got less than 2 months of inventory, which favors the sellers. Now we break that down on the right, and it's the way we would price a home based on the inventory. So it's between 1 and 2 months. I mean 0 and 1 month of inventory. We can price it 20 above what the value is. If it's 1 and 2 months, we can price it 10% above. If it's the average, which is 3 to 4 months, we'll price it, right at the market value. If there's 5 to 6 months of inventory, we're going to probably have to knock it down 5% below. So right now, I would say in the DFW area, we're looking at about the 5% below market value to get it competitively priced. And then, of course, if it's a lot of inventory, 7 to 12 months, and it's simple below market, and Lord forbid that we get to a 12 to 20 more 4 months of inventory, then you're looking at 10 to 20% below the market value. We don't want to go there. And then we're going to look at market trends, and insights a 24-month analysis. So this kind of looks at the overall big picture over the long haul. Inventory is just decreasing. It is signaling a seller's market, or the average age of the market is declining, which means that it's also a seller's market. Certain price ranges are more active. I would say here in the DFW area right now, the $200,000 homes are selling a little better. Luxury selling really well, and the medium price range homes are taking a little longer to sell. That's why it's a buyer's market, 4.5 months on the market. And it just means that the three P's have to line up. And we'll talk a little bit more about the three P's in a moment. And this is recommendations for buyers and sellers. So for the sellers, you go ahead and consider listing now to take advantage of low inventory. If there is low inventory, right now there's not low inventory. So, if you don't need to sell, you might not want to sell. You might want to just hang on to it a bit, and take it, because the inventory is high right now. But if you need to sell, we get it priced right and we get it sold. And then for buyers, it's be prepared for competitive bidding in the current market. Well, I would say that right now in the DFW area, that's not the case. We're actually seeing that the buyers are in control. I may have said before that if they don't like the color of the paint, they'll just move on to the other house. They'll move on to another house until they find the one that they like because there's so much inventory out there. And for agents, they focus on the properties in high demand areas. I think this is a good strategy for agents. However, myself personally, I'm here to help everybody. If they want to sell their house, it doesn't matter if it's in high demand or not. If we get the three P's right, then we're going to sell the house. And elasticity. So what is elasticity? Elasticity is supply and demand. It is a fundamental economic principle that describes the relationship between availability of a good or service, supply, and desire of consumers to purchase it, demand. This relationship dictates the price, quantity of goods and services traded in a market. So if you look at the graph, pricing homes to sell, elasticity. A home can sell at the top price of the market or at the bottom of the market. So you see the price, you see the high end price range, and then the low end price range. And you see the market value is in the middle, and then time in the market is lengthened out this way. So, as always, in supply and demand, it depends on how much supply you have and how much demand there is for that good or services. So, if you look at it again right now, I'll repeat that the buyer's market is what most of the DFW area is in. So, we got to get the three P's right. And this is a scary truth. And why is it scary? It's because a real estate agent in Texas sells less than two homes a year, and their experience is costing sellers valuable marketing time and lots of time the home does not sell. The average agent is lucky to sell one home per month. Most sellers end up losing $11,000 with a typical agent. Over 10,000 homes failed to sell last year. That is a scary truth because we don't want your home not selling. It's a waste of time. And you're losing money. So, we got to get the home out on the market. We got to get it sold. And so this is why we want to talk about the three P's. So here's the three P's. Why do most homes fail to sell? The three P's must be in alignment. Let's talk about them. Promotion, product, price. Three P's aligned, guaranteed success. So what are the three P's? Well, the three P's are only three things that sell a house. So let's look at each one of those. Price. Setting the right price is crucial to attracting buyers. A competitive price based on market research and comparable sales can draw in more potential buyers. Product. The product is the home itself, its condition, features, amenities, and location are all factors that influence its desirability to potential buyers. And promotion. This encompasses the various marketing and advertising strategies used to showcase the property to potential buyers. So again, the price, we got to get it priced right. It's hard when I see a home overpriced. I don't take listings to overprice a listing. In fact, I'll turn down more listings than I take because unrealistically, sometimes sellers want to sell their home for a price that's way outside of what the market is going to pay for it. So there's no sense in doing that. It's frustrating for me as an agent. It's frustrating for the seller when I'm having to sit there and go back and forth with the seller to try to get him to lower the price over and over. It's very frustrating. It's not worth the time. And I see too often that agents do take listings that they shouldn't. And I'm not here to bash other agents. I don't want to get into that. I'm just here to help people put their house on the market and sell it at the price that the market's willing to pay for it. The product's very important. I mean, if you've got a house that's on the market and you're looking at other houses in the area that are similar to your house, and say their house is in better condition, it has better features and amenities, and it's on the market for a lower price, then the price does have to be adjusted, and we'll get that right out of the gate, because we're going to look at the other competition and see what their prices are, and we're going to get your price right. And last but not least, the promotion. This is where I come in. This is where every good agent with this salt should come in. And this should be not just throwing it on the MLS and writing a great description and hoping it sells. That's not what a good agent should do. We should be marketing that property. I have a great marketing team, real estate social experts marketing my properties. I'm affiliated with homes.com. Within 2 months, we should have over 200,000 views on homes.com alone, plus my real estate social expert marketing team, plus Facebook ads, Instagram, paid advertising through listings to leads. We've got many different promotions. We do open houses, and we're going to get showings. We're going to get a competitive bid for your property using promotion. Promotion is key to any real estate transaction. The more people that sees the home, the more chance and the higher amount of value you're going to sell that home. And last, we're going to look at the real estate pond. What is the real estate pond? The market as a pond. The real estate market is visualized as a pond with inventory, properties flowing in and out. Top of the pond. Properties that are price competitively, well maintained, and match current market demand are at the top. Like a buoyant item, they attract attention and are likely to sell quickly. Stagnation. If a property is overpriced or has other issues, it will start to sink in the pond. This means it will sit on the market longer with fewer showings and offers and may eventually stagnate. So if we look at the picture over here, real estate pond, you got new properties entering the market on the left, and then the sold properties go out the door on the right. At the bottom, you'll see the active inventory slide here on the left. So if everything on the P's line up, so in other words, you're priced right, your product or your home is looking good, and it should be looking good. If it should, the best homes sell if they're staged. In other words, you have it staged properly. I do make sure that all my properties are staged. If you don't have furniture in it, then we will at least virtually stage it. I recommend real staging, because real staging just does a lot better when you have people coming and looking at the home and your showings or your open houses. It's actually got furniture in it. That is huge. But second to that, we'll do for the online, we'll do virtual staging, and it'll look at least online like it has furniture in it. And the homes that are staged do sell for more money. It's a fact. So it's always important to stage it with real furniture. You can make sure it's decluttered. We there's a lot of stuff that we go over and do to get that home staged so it sells for more money. And then it's the price. Again, the price, the product, and then the promotion all line up. If all three of those line up, then it's going to be at the top of this pond. It's going to get showings. It's going to get offers. And then there's the middle. There's the showings but no offers. That means something in the three P's is off, either promotion, price, or product. Generally, I've seen that the price is too high, or the price and the product don't line up. There's something not lining up. And I've noticed that when we get the two all three P's lined up, it pops up to that top tier and then it sells. And then lastly, you've got the stagnant. That's when you're getting views, but you're getting no showings, no offerings. It's just sitting there. That more than likely means that two or even maybe all three P's are not functioning correctly. So if we get the three P's all lined up, we'll get it back to the top. And maybe it's a gradual thing. Maybe it's where we line up the P's, a couple of P's, and do it in a slow way so that we get it to move, up to the top. Don't want to just sit there and throw a real low price out there and it pops up at the top and then the seller, loses money. We want to move it in that direction, but we don't want to take too long to do it or make too many price drops, because then that makes the buyers think that there's something wrong with the property. So it is strategic, but that's also why it's a very important to get the price right out of the gate. If we get it right out of the gate, then and the product is in good shape and we promote it right, we'll be in the top of the pond to start off with. And that pretty much rounds out everything here with the market absorption report. I hope this was informative to everybody. I hope that everybody got some value out of this. And I look forward to helping anybody. My name is John Honegger with eXp Realty. My number is 972-786-3342. That's 972-786-3342. You can book some time with me at book.johnhonegger.com. That's book.johnhonegger.com. I will leave this information down below. So if anybody has any questions, or I'm here to help, doesn't matter whether you utilize my services or not. I'm here just to help anybody that needs any assistance on the buyer side or the sell side. Or if you're, a real estate investor and you're looking for, off-market properties, I come across those as well. And I also have, been in the real estate investing side for over 6 years now. So I have a lot of knowledge about that. That will be another video that I'll do at another time to kind of go over, the different ways that an investor can benefit. Anyway, that's going to do it for today, and I hope everyone has a blessed day.